Welcome class 7 for your next class of literature in English. Today we shall take up the first story in your book Big Brother, written by Munshi Premchand. Munshi Premchand, whose real name was Dhanpat Rai Shrivastava, was born on 31st July 1880. This great Indian author died at the age of 56 on 8th October 1936. He was the one who took the Hindi literature to a great height. Premchand wrote stories in simple language, giving us the glimpse of rural India. This story is the translation of Bade Bhai Saab in English. Premchand has highlighted the love and respect for sibling within a family in the story. Here he has brought out the two characters of the story, the elder brother and the younger one. The big brother of Munshi Premchand was 5 years elder to him. He was very studious and believed in laying strong foundation. He was a devoted learner and believed that great monuments of knowledge could not stand tall without a strong foundation. He was very responsible and acted as a father figure to his younger brother. He kept the track of all the whereabouts of his younger brother and at times shared with him his life experiences so that he does not suffer in his life. The second main character in the story is the younger brother, who is the author himself. Author was not as studious as his elder brother. He could not spend more than an hour with his book, yet he managed to top his class. At times, he did frame strict timetable for himself, but never followed it. He loved playing marbles and flying kites in open fields with his friends. Let us now move ahead towards the explanation of the story Big Brother. In the initial lines of the story, the narrator describes about the age difference between him and his elder brother. He says, "There was an age difference of 5 years between my big brother and me. However, he was only 3 years senior to him in school. Both of us started school at the same age, but my brother believed in taking his studies slow and steady. Since he wanted to lay a solid foundation, he took 2 to 3 years in each class to do complete justice to his studies. The foundation, after all, should be strong for the edifice to endure. It means that he failed number of times in his classes and repeated them in order to do well in his studies. At that time, I was 9. Here I refers to the narrator, Munshi Premchand, and he was 14 and his elder brother was 14 years. He had the right to supervise and instruct me, and I was expected to abide by his order without demur." Here, the narrator says that he was supervised all the time by his elder brother, and it was expected of him that he must listen to whatever his elder brother instructs him to do. In the next paragraph, the narrator describes his elder brother to be a bookworm who always had a book open in front of him, trying to learn whatever he could. He says, "My brother was studious by nature. Most of the time, he would have a book open in front of him. At times, he would relax by scrawling pictures of birds, dogs, and cats in the margin of his notebook. Scrawling, drawing. That means at times when he wanted to relax while he was studying, he used to draw pictures of bird, dogs in the margin line of his notebook. I have seen my brother write a name or a word or even a sentence up to 10 or 20 times. He used to write and practice whatever he read. In contrast. Now, here the narrator is talking about himself. He says, whereas I had no interest in studies. To sit with a book for an hour was an ordeal for me. It was a very unpleasant thing for the narrator to sit with the book for more than an hour. As the author did not like to sit with his books for a long time, given a chance, I would slip out of the hostel. I would run out of the hostel and go to the field, the playground, to play marbles and fly kites with my friends. Of course, these acts of mine were met with great disapproval by my brother. Although the narrator used to run out of the hostel and play with his friends, but his elder brother never approved of what he did. His first question would be, "Where were you?" And whenever his elder brother caught him, he would question him that where he had been. The narrator says, "It was always the same question in a similar tone, and I always had the same reaction: silence. I failed to understand why I could not tell my brother that I was playing." He says that although the question was similar all the time, and I had the same reaction, that I never responded back, I remained quiet. I could not understand that why couldn't I tell my elder brother that I was playing. This shows that the younger brother respected his elder brother so much that he never answered him back. Moreover, he says, my silence was like an acknowledgement to my guilt. It was like an approval to what I had done wrong. It was like accepting my mistake. Whenever the narrator was found guilty, his elder brother would give him the lessons of life. Narrator says, my brother would begin, "If this is your way to study English, you will be doing it for the rest of your life. One cannot learn English so easily. You have to give your days and nights to master the subject. Even then, you would only acquire a bit of the language." Acquire, gain. Do you know even great scholars can't write proper English, much less be able to speak it? You should learn from me. I don't attend shows and carnivals. I never go to cricket and hockey matches. All I do is keep studying all the time. And even then, it takes me more than 2 years in each class. How do you expect to pass if you don't study? You are simply wasting your father's hard-earned money. In this particular paragraph, the elder brother is trying to tell his younger brother that learning English is not that easy. It requires a lot of effort. Even great scholars have not been able to acquire proper English and are unable to speak it well. He gives his own examples and tells his younger brother that he has never attended any shows or carnivals, nor has he gone out for any cricket or hockey matches. Rather, he has kept himself busy studying so that he can master the language. At times, he had to repeat the classes, and he did not want his younger brother to suffer in the same manner. Nor did he want his younger brother to waste his father's hard-earned money. The next paragraph describes how the narrator felt when he was scolded by his elder brother. Such a scolding would inevitably reduce me to tears. Now, here inevitably means certainly, that whenever he was scolded by his brother, it would bring tears in his eyes. I would feel low and think of running home from school. However, after some time, I would gain control over my emotions and resolve to study hard, and decide once again to study hard. I liked to draw up a schedule, a timetable. I would leave out the word play from the timetable and write it thus, and he would write it like this: get up at the crack of dawn, early in the morning, freshen up, eat a snack and study. From 6 to 8 o'clock, English. 8 to 9 o'clock, arithmetics. 9 to 30 minutes past 9 o'clock, history. Then meal time and school. The narrator continues to make a tight schedule for himself after school as well. He says after school would be geography from 4 to 5 o'clock, grammar from 5 to 6 o'clock, then a 30-minute walk followed by English composition at 30 minutes past 6 o'clock. Then dinner, translation from 8 to 9 o'clock, Hindi from 9 to 10 o'clock, and from 10 to 11 o'clock was time for miscellaneous exercise and then sleep. However, as we all know, it is one thing to draw up a schedule and quite a different one to follow it. That means we all make timetables, but it is very difficult to follow the same. I could not follow it for the first day. The vast green playground, the cheers in the football field, the speed and furies of the volleyball game beckoned me, called me irresistible, which I could not resist. The moment I reached the playground, I forgot everything. Here everything refers to the timetable, the schedule that he had made for himself. My resolve, my aim, my timetable, and the books that strained my eyes. When it was time to return to the room, I was always filled with dread. He was filled with fear at that moment because his elder brother would be there to receive him. I would try to avoid him as much as possible, hoping to get away from his sermons, from the lessons and scolding. However, he always spotted me. However, the elder brother was wise and more experienced and was able to get hold of his younger brother very often. Although the narrator had chalked out a strict timetable for himself, but he could never follow it, for he was tempted by the playground and his friends who used to cheer in the field. The annual examination came, and even this year my brother failed. In this particular line, the narrator says that his elder brother was not able to clear his examination, whereas I was promoted and was first in my class. The narrator cleared his examination and stood first in his class. There was now only 2 years difference left between us. I felt a little proud of myself. My brother's influence over me would soon be over. As the gap had reduced, the narrator felt that now he will not have the same influence over him as he used to have earlier. The narrator began to play even freely in the playground. One day, I had spent the morning playing stickball and came back at lunchtime. That means he spent a lot of time playing, went out into the field in the morning hours and came back at the lunchtime. At that, the elder brother got angry and he said in a sharp tone, "I know you have passed this year and have even topped your class, but I also see that you are putting on airs, that you have become proud of yourself, proud of your achievement. Let me tell you, even great men live to regret their pride." He says that great people have always regretted, always felt bad, sad for when they have shown pride. It is easy to pass an examination, but it is really difficult to develop your mind. He says that though it is easy to pass an examination, but to gain experience in life is very difficult. In the upcoming lines, the elder brother quotes an example. He quotes an example of Ravan. He tells him, "Think of Ravan and how such a great ruler met his doom solely because of his pride." He says that Ravana was a great learned ruler, but he met his last day, his death, just because he had become proud of himself. You have been promoted by 1 grade. However, when you reach my class and have to study algebra, geometry, and literature in depth, you will realize how tough it is. It is not easy to memorize the king's names. There were 8 Henrys, and if you write about Henry VII instead of Henry VIII, you will get 0. These people perhaps did not have enough names to go around. So after every name, they have to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Here, the elder brother also quotes that as the younger brother moves on to the higher grades, the studies would become difficult for him. He would have to read the subjects in detail and memorize many things. At times, there would be least difference between the things which he has to learn, and he must write the appropriate, otherwise he would not be able to gain any marks. Thus, memorizing and learning is an essential part of studying. He continues to talk about other subjects as well. He says, as for geometry, the lesser said, the better. That means he doesn't want to talk much about it. If you write ACB instead of ABC, the whole calculation goes wrong. The perpendicular is twice the base. I ask you, how does it matter? Even if it is 4 times long, what do I care? However, you have to pass, and so you got to memorize it all. He says, even if it does not coordinate with his thoughts, he must learn all the facts that are related to the subject and memorize them in order to pass a grade. And then he talks about English. He says, then there are essays. With a hint of anger, he said, why should I write 4 pages on a topic when I can say it in a single sentence? Isn't it a contradiction to write a concise essay of 4 pages? Contradiction? It is a combination of ideas and statements. Concise? It is to say something in few words. Now here the elder brother did not want to write or express himself by writing long essays. He felt he could say the same thing by writing a single sentence. Coming to the point, don't think that you are smart just because you got promoted. He tells his brother that he should not consider himself to be smart enough, for he has been able to pass the grade. Pay attention to what I say, and he wants him to listen to him carefully. I may have failed, but I am still older than you and more experienced. Let's go for lunch now. He says, though I might have failed, I am still elder to you and I have more experience in life. Let us go for the lunch now. When the narrator was scolded by his elder brother, he lost his appetite for lunch. He lost the desire to have lunch. Given my brother's reaction, I wondered what would have happened had I failed. Thinking about the words that his brother spoke, he wondered how would he have behaved had he failed. Moreover, the description of studies in 9th grade really scared me. The description of all the subjects given by the elder brother frightened the author. However, even this admonition did not change my distaste for books. This warning did not change his liking for books. He did not spend much time with them. He did not miss a chance to play outside. I studied too, but just enough to complete my assignment and not to be disgraced in class. But my self-confidence disappeared. But slowly and steadily, he lost his self-confidence. And I started living in fear, and he became frightened of his studies. In the next annual exams, I passed. The author managed to pass, but his brother failed once again. I don't think that I had worked very hard and was fairly surprised that I got first division. Although the author did not work very hard, but he managed to sustain the first division. Whereas on the other hand, my brother literally buried himself in books, putting in long hours in studies. When he had grown pale, his brother, who had spent long hours studying books, remaining glued to them and learning them thoroughly again and again, was unsuccessful. He failed, and this time the narrator felt sorry for him. When the results were declared, my brother broke down and cried. I cried with him. I almost forgot about my success. At this moment, the narrator did not remember about his achievement, rather was more concerned about the feelings of his brother and his concern for him. Thank you, children. We shall continue with the rest of the story in the next video.